You're about to get the complete guide to keeping your body and mind in the best possible shape as you age. And some of what you'll learn might genuinely surprise you. Whether you're already in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, or you're planning ahead for the decades to come, this is the information you need, all in one place. Let's start with something important. If you're 65 or older right now, you have an average of nearly 19 more years of life ahead of you. If you're a woman, that number is closer to 20. If you're a man, about 17 and a half. That's not a short amount of time. That's potentially 2 full decades of living, traveling, spending time with grandchildren, picking up new hobbies, and enjoying life. But here's the thing. How you spend those years, whether they're vibrant and independent or limited by preventable health problems, depends enormously on what you do right now. And you're not alone in this. By 2040, 1 in 5 Americans will be over 65. By 2060, nearly 1 in 4. The country is getting older, and the healthcare system is scrambling to keep up. But you don't have to wait for the system to catch up. You can take charge of your own health starting today. So let's break this down, piece by piece, covering everything from how you move your body to how you feed it, how you protect your brain, how you sleep, how you prevent falls, and how you take care of your mental health. Consider this your complete owner's manual. Let's talk about your body first, because physical activity is the single most powerful tool you have for healthy aging. And yet, the numbers here are honestly a little shocking. Only about 1 in 7 older adults currently meets the federal physical activity guidelines. If you're a man, there's roughly a 17% chance you're meeting them. If you're a woman, only about 11.5%. That means the vast majority of you watching this are not getting enough movement, and that gap between what you're doing and what your body needs is costing you. So what does your body actually need? The CDC and the World Health Organization both agree on this. You need at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity per week. That breaks down to 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. You could go for a brisk walk. You could swim. You could ride a bike. If you prefer more vigorous activity, you can cut that time in half to 75 minutes per week. On top of that, you need at least 2 days per week of muscle strengthening activities, things like lifting light weights, using resistance bands, or even doing bodyweight exercises like wall push-ups and chair squats. And here's one that many people overlook. You also need balance training. That balance component isn't optional, it's critical. And here's why. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death among adults 65 and older, and the numbers are getting worse, not better. The fall death rate increased by 21% between 2018 and 2024. In 2024 alone, over 43,000 people aged 65 and older died from preventable falls. More than 3.85 million ended up in emergency departments because of fall-related injuries. 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls every year. 1 in 4. Now, if you've ever fallen, you know how frightening it can be. And here's something fascinating and a little heartbreaking. Many people who fall, even if they're not injured, develop a fear of falling. That fear makes you cut back on your daily activities. When you become less active, you get weaker. And when you get weaker, you're actually more likely to fall again. It's a vicious cycle, and the only way to break it is to keep moving, safely and intentionally. So, what can you do specifically to reduce your fall risk? The research points to a few key strategies. First, engage in multi-component exercise, which means activities that combine aerobic movement, strength training, and balance work all at once. Dancing is a perfect example. So are yoga, tai chi, gardening, and many recreational sports. Second, make your home safer. Remove loose rugs, improve lighting, install grab bars in the bathroom, and keep walkways clear. Third, if your vitamin D levels are low, supplementation can help. And fourth, talk to your doctor about a personalized fall prevention plan, because tailored interventions have been shown to be more effective than one-size-fits-all approaches. Now let's talk about what you're putting into your body, because nutrition plays a massive role in how you age. As you get older, your nutritional needs shift in important ways. Your muscle mass naturally declines with age, which means your need for protein actually increases. The dietary guidelines recommend that you eat between 5 and 6.5 ounces of protein per day, but the average person over 71 is only getting about 4.5 ounces. That gap matters. Without enough protein, you lose muscle faster, your bones weaken, and your ability to recover from illness or injury drops significantly. You want to spread your protein intake throughout the day rather than loading it all into one meal. Good sources include seafood, dairy products, fortified soy products, beans, peas, and lentils. Beyond protein, you need to focus on a handful of key nutrients that become especially important as you age: potassium, calcium, vitamin D, vitamin B12, and fiber, and choose foods that are high in fiber and low in sodium. Cut back on added sugars and saturated fats. And here's a simple but often overlooked recommendation: drink at least 6 8-ounce glasses of water or other fluids per day, unless your doctor has you on a fluid-restricted diet. 1 in 4 older adults is dehydrated due to low fluid intake, and dehydration can affect everything from your cognition to your blood pressure to your kidney function. Now, about supplements. Roughly 60% of older adults take self-prescribed dietary supplements. The strongest evidence for benefit supports calcium and vitamin D supplementation to prevent osteoporosis. But beyond that, you should talk to your doctor before adding anything to your regimen, because more isn't always better. And some supplements can interact with medications you're already taking. One dietary approach worth knowing about is the MIND diet, which stands for Mediterranean-Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. It's specifically designed to protect your brain, and it combines elements of the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet, with a focus on foods that research has linked to slower cognitive decline. If you're looking for a framework for how to eat, this is one of the best studied options available. Oh, speaking of your brain, let's talk about cognitive health, because this is an area where the science has changed dramatically in recent years. You may have grown up believing that dementia was simply a matter of bad luck or bad genes. But here's what the latest research tells you. In 2024, the Lancet Commission identified 14 modifiable risk factors that account for 49% of dementia cases worldwide. Almost half. That means nearly half of all dementia cases are potentially preventable through lifestyle changes and proper medical care. Those risk factors include things you might expect, like physical inactivity, smoking, excessive alcohol use, and obesity. But they also include factors you might not have considered, like untreated hearing loss, untreated vision loss, high LDL cholesterol, social isolation, and depression. The most empowering finding is that your risk is modifiable regardless of your genetic status. Even if you carry the APOE gene variant associated with higher Alzheimer's risk, lifestyle interventions still make a difference. Right now, an estimated 7.1 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's symptoms, and that number is projected to nearly double to 13.9 million by 2060. But the research community isn't standing still. The NIH funded AHEAD 345 study completed enrollment in 2024 with more than 20,000 individuals screened, testing whether early intervention with the drug lecanemab can prevent cognitive decline in people who have amyloid buildup in their brains but haven't yet shown symptoms. 5 new drug candidates had investigational new drug applications submitted in 2024, including one that targets the neuropsychiatric symptoms of Alzheimer's, which have historically been very difficult to treat. The message here is clear. You can't control everything about your cognitive future, but you can influence it far more than you might have thought. Stay physically active, eat well, protect your hearing and vision, manage your cholesterol and blood pressure, stay socially connected, and treat depression if you have it. These aren't just good ideas. They're evidence-based strategies for keeping your brain healthy. And that brings you to mental health, which is arguably the most underserved area of senior healthcare. Around 14% of adults over 70 live with a mental health disorder, and an estimated 20% of all older adults have some form of mental health condition. Depression alone affects more than 9.3 million older adults, and those numbers increased by 6% between 2021 and 2022 alone. Anxiety diagnosis among older adults nearly doubled from 2019 to 2023. Here's what you need to understand. Depression is not a normal part of aging. Let that sink in for a moment, mostly because this misconception is one of the most damaging myths in senior health. Depression is a medical condition. It's treatable. And yet, it goes undiagnosed in fully half of all elderly cases. Half. If you're experiencing persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities you used to enjoy, changes in appetite or sleep, difficulty concentrating, or feelings of worthlessness, those are not simply signs of getting old. Those are symptoms that deserve medical attention. Social isolation and loneliness affect about a quarter of older adults, and they're significant risk factors for mental health conditions. You might be surprised to learn that 1 in 6 older adults experiences some form of abuse, often from their own caregivers. And the data on suicide and drug-related deaths among seniors is deeply concerning. Drug deaths among adults 65 and older increased by 58% between 2018 and 2023, reaching historic highs. Suicide rates increased by 5% over the same period, with rates among men 6 times higher than among women. If you're struggling, you should know that help is available, and seeking it is not a sign of weakness. It's one of the strongest things you can do. The positive news is that social support and engagement among older adults actually improved in recent reports, and volunteerism saw a 19% increase between 2021 and 2023. Connection matters. Reaching out matters. Staying engaged with your community matters. Now let's address something that affects nearly every aspect of your health, but often gets dismissed. Your sleep. Insomnia is the most common sleep problem in adults over 60, and somewhere between 10 and 30% of all adults live with it. As you age, your sleep patterns naturally change. You tend to fall asleep earlier and wake up earlier. Your sleep becomes lighter, and you wake up more often during the night. But here's what the research makes clear. Even though your sleep architecture changes, the amount of sleep you need does not. You still need 7 to 8 hours per night. Not getting quality sleep increases your risk for heart disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, and cognitive decline. And here's a fact that should concern you. Nearly 40% of all sleeping pills are prescribed to older adults, even though you make up less than 20% of the population. Many of these are benzodiazepines, which guidelines specifically recommend against for older adults due to increased risks of memory impairment, falls, fractures, and car accidents. So what should you do instead? The gold standard treatment for insomnia is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, known as CBTI. It's a structured program that includes techniques like stimulus control, sleep restriction therapy, relaxation training, and cognitive restructuring. It works as well or better than medication in the long term, without the side effects. In the meantime, you can practice good sleep hygiene. Or don't eat heavy meals or drink alcohol within 2 hours of bedtime. Limit caffeine after lunchtime. Exercise regularly, but not within 2 hours of bed. Keep your bedroom quiet, dark, and at a cool, comfortable temperature. Let's pull all of this together with chronic disease management. Because the reality is that nearly 95% of adults 65 and older have at least one chronic condition, and about 80% have 2 or more. 24% of you have diabetes. About 40% are living with obesity. Cardiovascular disease remains the leading cause of death, accounting for approximately 655,000 deaths annually in the United States. But here's where it gets hopeful. Chronic disease self-management education programs, originally developed at Stanford University, have been proven to help you better manage your conditions, improve your quality of life, and lower your healthcare costs. Participants save an average of over $700 from reduced emergency room visits and hospitalizations. If just 10% of Americans with chronic conditions participated in these programs, the potential savings could reach $6.6 billion. These are interactive workshops where you learn practical skills for managing your conditions day to day, including exercise, healthy eating, and symptom management. And the broader trends are actually encouraging. The number of geriatric clinicians has reached a record high, growing by 5%. Early death rates among older adults have decreased to near 2019 levels. Falls and obesity rates have stabilized after peaking earlier this decade. High-speed internet access for older adult households rose to nearly 85%, which means more of you can access telehealth services, online communities, and health information than ever before. So where does all of this leave you? Now you now have nearly 19 years or more of life ahead of you after 65. The question isn't just how long you'll live, it's how well. And the answer to that question is more within your control than you might have believed. Move your body for at least 150 minutes a week and include strength and balance training. Eat enough protein, stay hydrated, and focus on nutrient-rich foods. Protect your brain by managing the risk factors you can control. Take your mental health as seriously as your physical health. Prioritize quality sleep and resist the quick fix of sleeping pills, and actively manage any chronic conditions you have, ideally with the support of evidence-based programs and a healthcare team you trust. 92% of older adults say they want to age in their own homes. You probably do too. And you can. But aging in place successfully means aging actively, aging intentionally, and aging with the kind of knowledge you now have. Your body and your mind are not separate systems. They're deeply interconnected, and taking care of one helps take care of the other. The research is clear. The tools are available. And the time to start, no matter your age right now, is today.